When you think of US presidents, you probably imagine powerful leaders living in luxury, big houses, Secret Service protection, maybe even their own libraries named after them. But here's the twist. Not every president left the White House wealthy. In fact, one president struggled so much financially after his time in office that Congress had to step in and create a law just so he could make ends meet. Today, we are diving into the story of the poorest American president, Harry S. Truman. Harry Truman didn't come from money. Born in 1884 in rural Missouri, Truman grew up on a farm. His family wasn't destitute, but they certainly weren't wealthy. Young Harry wore thick glasses, loved reading history, and dreamed of becoming a soldier. He worked a bunch of jobs: timekeeper on a railroad, bank clerk, even a farmer for over a decade. And here's the thing, none of these made him rich. In fact, when his farm failed during the 1920s, Truman was left in debt. He once said, "My choices in life were either to be a piano player in a whorehouse or a politician. And to tell the truth, there's hardly any difference." So when he entered politics, it wasn't because of money or privilege, it was because he needed a job. Fast forward a couple of decades. After serving as a senator and vice president, Truman suddenly became president in 1945 when Franklin D. Roosevelt died. He took office at one of the most difficult moments in history, the end of World War II. He made the fateful decision to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, led the US through the early Cold War, and oversaw the Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe. Now you'd think that being president, the most powerful person on earth, would set him up for life financially. But that wasn't the case. When Truman left office in 1953, his total savings were shockingly small. Remember, this was before presidents received the kind of pensions and perks they do today. All he had was his army pension, about $112 a month. Adjusted for today, that's only around $1,200, barely enough to cover rent in most US cities. Truman refused to cash in on his fame. Unlike modern politicians, he didn't give six-figure speeches or join corporate boards. Instead, he moved back to his modest home in Independence, Missouri, and lived simply with his wife, Bess. He even turned down offers from corporations that wanted to pay him just to use his name. Truman said, "You can't get rich in politics unless you're a crook." Strong words from a man who believed public service wasn't meant for personal profit. Here's where things got interesting. Truman's financial struggles were so well known that in 1958, Congress passed the former president